Welcome to the GoPROcast, where we invite business doers who are changing lives by sharing their stories, their strategies and tactics, and who bravely talk about their failures that actually led to their biggest successes. Now it's time to go pro with Jeremy Torres. Today's guest reminds me a lot of myself in that he uses his past failures and areas of shame from his past to encourage others to step out of their comfort zone and into their potential. Everyone is inspired by people who have overcome extreme circumstances to reach their potential, and he has helped hundreds of B2B consultants grow their business over the past few years after being homeless, and now he has a lot of experience and knowledge to share. And here to share it with you, welcome to the GoPROcast, Chaz Horn. My brother, thanks for coming, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for the intro. Love that. Yeah, I'm not homeless anymore. You probably wouldn't have me on the show.
No, well, that'd be interesting. I may have you on the risk factor. So we did. Like I said, we had that in common, man. I was twice homeless. One at 17, and then the second time, technically at 38, I lost everything. I was staying with my ex-brother-in-law's apartment in a retirement neighborhood just to get till I got a job, and because I lost a business. But that one hurt. I had 2 kids in that one, but makes you strong, right? So tell me something good. That's the only question I ask every single guest. Tell me something good today.
Life gets really good when you change your paradigm from all the things that you don't have and the things you have to do to all that you have and you get to do.
Yes.
That paradigm changed my life.
Yeah. So get to life. That's awesome. This is the Get To Studio. I built this last year when I sold my construction business and had nothing to do except for examine my life and say, how many people got I help now? So we built this studio, and I call it the Get To Studio because I get to come here and meet people like you every day.
I love that. People don't realize and understand when you focus on the things that you get, just saying that to yourself, I get to do this.
Yeah.
As opposed to I have to do this. It changes your perspective and it changes the chemicals in your mind.
Yeah.
Gratitude. It brings a lot of joy into my life just by having that sense.
Yeah. And I love the happens to me or happens for me instead of to me. Yeah. No matter what it is, no matter what it is, it's happening for me to learn something, for me to stop doing something that's to veer me off and my trajectory is going on the wrong path and then I need to be somewhere else. And that could be as easy as missing a stoplight, like hitting 3 or 4 in a row and you're going, the universe doesn't want me up 30 feet ahead for some reason, It's little as that, because it's like the small stuff. Not doing the small stuff will lead to not doing the big stuff. So getting pissed off at the small stuff is going to obviously lead to you getting, throwing gaskets at the big stuff. That's my biggest problem.
I've been there, done that. Ed Milet talks about that often. Tony Robbins talks about that often. Yeah, life happens for you.
Yeah.
It's so true.
So tell us, let's start, not quite from most of the time in the beginning, but you're obviously doing something that helps a ton of people in business, and that's kind of where I live. But let's start kind of unpacking what you had to go through and what you had to learn and how do you apply this to what you do now.
Yeah. Well, quite frankly, I sucked at everything I did. I didn't have any, I literally didn't think I had any potential. And I grew up in a real critical environment. Yeah. And I never thought I had any potential. And so I don't say that to be a victim. We're not responsible for how we're raised, but we are 100% responsible for taking ownership. By the way, shout out to Jocko Willink, Extreme Ownership.
Yep.
I've been through that book like 200 times.
Yep. I don't have 200 under my belt, but I have about 200 nuggets from that book. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that's at the core of which really helped me. Plus, when I got my first B2B sales job, we're talking about being homeless. I was living in my car. Ken Upton was my boss, and I had this job, and I don't know, it was way too long. I didn't have any sales.
Yeah.
Zero, zip, nada. And it was 100% commission. I was 119 out of 119 salespeople. Okay. Last. And he had me over to his house one night, which was cool because I hadn't eaten in a couple of days. And after dinner, I can still remember, it was in Northern California. Northern California, by the way, is really cold. A lot of people think, oh, California.
Oh, yeah.
Cold.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
He had a fire in the fireplace, and it was kind of like a student to, or teacher to student. He was saying, Chaz, are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? I was clueless. I was 24 years old at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? He goes, I know you're not making any money. Do you want to make some sales? I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
So these 3 words changed my life. He said, you can be, just hearing somebody say that to me, followed by the top salesperson in the company. But, and this also was something that I took through the rest of my career into today. But you got to follow the system. You got to follow the process because it's proven. We spent a lot of time, we were talking about before we got started on this backstage, about execution bringing clarity. So they did a lot of execution to have the system and process in place. So he said, if you follow the system, you follow the process, you'll be the number 1 salesperson. 45 days later, I wasn't number 1, but I was number 3
out of 119.
And I moved out of my place with automatic windows. So
yeah.
So that was at the heart of it, system, process. And then I learned the power of someone believing in me. And later in life, that became my why. That's what I do today, why I do what I do today.
Yeah, we have a thing about here is to develop your drive, you do that by examining your whys. Because motivation is short term, it's part, Zig Ziglar says it's like bathing, right? It's great, but you need one every day. But when you have drive, I actually cut my tendon in my left foot when I was 280 pounds because I got turned on to David Goggins. And I had never run ever. And I went from 0 running to that, doing what he did, ran a quarter mile, walked back to my office in Dallas, basically so frustrated I wanted to just give up. And then I was like, nope. And I went back out and I ran my first mile. Within 2 weeks, I was running 3 miles a day. Within 3 or 4 weeks, I was running 6 miles a day, 2 3-mile sessions. And I snapped a tendon because I'm as flat-footed as you can possibly be. And, it took me another 18. That's right before COVID. So now I went down this 24-month journey of even walking regular. But that's drive because I had David in my ear, and I'm a South Florida kid. I still live in South Florida, but I was in office there.
You can't hurt me.
I was running at 42 degrees, sludge, ice, rain, 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 in the morning, whatever. I need to get my 6 miles in. And that's the difference between drive and motivation. And the only way to get your drive is to do what you just talked about, understanding your whys and drilling down. So when you weren't selling, were you really not following the system, or was it just the belief in yourself after you got the first one that helped with your confidence and put some bass in your voice? Is it a combo?
Yeah, it was definitely a combo. And just to dovetail on what you said about David Goggins, I thought you were going to say you ran the 100 mile, the 24 hours.
Jesus Christ.
Because he had all those broken foots. He had the crap on the way
I'm
back.
I'm so weak. But
story for another day.
When he's in my ear.
And I'm going to get to that. I was like fat, depressed. And when I saw myself in a family video, that's where I started walking around the block. That's been like 18 years ago, and I'm healthy and I work out a couple of times a day. Yeah, so it was a combination, but I just wanted to dovetail on that.
Yes.
Just the little things, and this is what people don't realize is, you can go through David Goggins' book, You Can't Hurt Me. That's an amazing book, by the way. And he did. He was 290 pounds, and then he ran that 100-mile race, and he had broken feet and all that. I mean, he has an extreme tolerance for. I mean, he thrives on it.
Yeah. He does. He lives in it. He lives in that dark space.
Yes. So the system and the process, I was 24. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And it's like, it was so far out of my understanding at that point in time in my life that I was just scared and fear. I mean,
Yeah.
Fear is at the core of what stops people from stepping out of their comfort zone and into your potential. So he giving me the push, you can be
Yep.
the top salesperson, but you got to follow the system. You got to follow the process. So that next day, I started following the system. I started following the process, started scheduling meetings. And I remember I walked out of an office because it was real high pressure sales. I would not do this today.
Yeah.
It was my first sales job.
Sure.
If I didn't walk out with a check, I wasn't getting paid.
Yeah.
So I walked into this office. I had a meeting. I walked out with a check. It was like $2,300. This was in the 80s. Okay. So it was like a lot of money, I don't know, 6,000 a day or something like that. And I'm like, holy cow, this works.
Yeah.
And so that gave me the confidence to continue getting sale after sale after
Success
sale.
leaves clues when you start the early, those little ones, damn, I did this and now this happened. That's a clue.
Exactly.
Let me do that more. We talked a little bit before. I don't know if it was on air or off air. I get so confused anymore. I talk so much in a day. I don't ever know if I said it record, but gratitude is something that we talked about. And so my family has depression. A couple of brothers committed suicide. I've had a real hard childhood like yours, homeless when I was a kid by choice because of those things. And 7 words turned my life around twice. 7 words, 2 times. 20 and 22 years old, changed everything for me. But sometimes I still find it hard to say nice things about myself. Sometimes I still don't know, it's not a good day. But what I do on those days is I try to find something good about something outward. And, it could be anything, just something to break that little, even if it's a 20-minute habit, a 2-hour habit, a 2-day habit, break it. And that's the start of getting better, right? Don't let it go 2 years because people do that. And gratitude helps. How do you use gratitude?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've had a head knowledge of gratitude for years, but there's it went from head to heart knowledge in 2020. I got really sick. I mean, I was really, really sick.
Wow.
And I got to the place where, if you have the flu and you can't get out of bed, I mean, you can't even move. It wasn't like the flu, but it was like that. And so at that point in time, I was like, okay, God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep my business because I can't even move. And I just give me wisdom, give me direction. And so I had started doing a morning routine with diaphragmatic breathing while thinking instead of meditating, Wim Hof breathing, ice baths. And so I had started that. And one of the first thing I did in the morning, and I talked about this earlier, when you focus on all that you have and you get to do, joy appears. I focused on the things I had. And you get perspective when you're feeling like, I don't know what's going to happen and you can't really move.
Yeah.
So the first thing in the morning, I just focused on, I have water, I have clothes. I have a place to live. I just went really deep. It went from head to heart. I can literally, seriously feel the chemicals in my brain change. And it took my thoughts off of how I felt, from how I felt to all that I had. And then I took that and I stacked it. I went to the diaphragmatic breathing. That continued to change the chemicals in my brain. Wim Hof breathing. Are you familiar with that at all?
A little bit. And I forget if that's when it's the 4 breaths, 8 seconds in and hold, and then you force it out for 6 seconds or something like that. There's a system.
I think there's boxing. It's a little different.
Yeah.
You breathe into your chest, out through your nose. Everything's into your nose. And then into your diaphragm. Chest, diaphragm in 30. After you breathe out, after your 30th breath, he has several different ones. You hold your breath. And so it increases your immunity. It gives you energy. So I do 3 rounds of that. And I still do it to this day. I've been doing it I just posted about this for 1,000 days in a row, including my morning routine.
Jeez.
And so it gave me the energy to get out of bed. And then I did an ice bath, and that gave me energy to work for 4 to 5 hours. And then I started I slept for 12 hours and started the whole routine again. So I did that for 3+ months in 2020. And so that gratitude was the foundation that really caused me to look, because it's so easy to take everything for granted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And when you're,
Or start looking, maybe even not grand, but start looking at everything in negative, because we're just surrounded by it. If you allow it into your life, that starts snowballing. The world is, nobody gets along, and the wars and all the politics. And if you just let too much of that in, like you said, you felt the chemicals. I feel it coming, the darkness, just I got to tune it out.
I've been there. Yeah. I've been there. 2004. I almost wouldn't be here today if I didn't have a knock at the door in 2004.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going through that journey and understanding how to change the chemicals in your brain it's an amazing skill set. And at the core and the heart of it is gratitude.
Yeah. And being open to seeing the gratitude, then being open to understanding the next level. I mean, that came into your life. That breathing technique came into your life somehow at that time, somehow, just like the knock at the door in 2004 happened somehow outside of your control. You just stumbled upon it, but you opened it and saw, wow, this is important. All right. And again, happening for me. And let's go. Let's see where this goes. Something's here.
Exactly.
That's scary stuff. And it's awesome. It's good. It's scary, and it's awesome at the same time. So now you're, again, life is not going to go one way the whole time. You were homeless when you were 23, 24 years old. You were could have been a deathbed, in a bad, dark place, 24. And then 2020, you have this health issue where you have to fight your way out of it again. So that shows you that's why it's important to live your life as much as you can, like you are, watching what you consume through your mouth, through your eyes, through your ears, through your heart, because we are all going to see these dark moments again. And I'm telling you, if without the other stuff that you had between 4 and 20, you might not have been able to come out of that.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
That's
so
exactly right.
Helping people, how do you help people? What's the number one way that you help folks? We want to see everyone listen to you here on this and get inspired and fired up about their life and what they're doing in business. If you can help them, I'm sure you get a call from somebody. So who do you want to touch today?
So at the core, and just talking about my why and how important, it really, I guess it shouldn't shock me anymore. The business owners I work with them to develop their why, the foundation, the fundamental. If they don't have that in place,
mindset all starts there.
Yes, exactly right. And so that's at the core of how I help people. And I'm working with B2B consultants, fractional CFO, fractional COO. If you're a consultant and you help a business, leadership, something like this, I can help you. Okay. But at the core, and people don't realize and understand, because we throw out these terms in the entrepreneurial world with the growth mindset and these different things like that. And we have a surface level knowledge of it. And so you need to go below the surface and you need to rewire your brain, create new neural pathways. And so the first thing I do when I work with someone is I have them create what I call their founding document. And we go through their who, their what, their where, and their why. Yes, I said say 2 whats and 2 wheres. And so because they don't know what they don't know, most importantly, they don't have a good sense of who their prospective client is.
Yes, right.
And
that's great.
A lot of people go through the avatar thing, and it's I don't agree with that, because if you're a newer business, you can't drill down into having an avatar at 35 years old and divorced with 2 kids. You have to have a broad range, and then execution will provide clarity. So as I go through the who, who's our target market? What is the outcome? Okay. Who is our target market? Their outcomes. What are the attributes? I heard this on one of your previous podcasts. What are the attributes of the people that you want to work with? You need to know that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to work with someone who's not coachable, who's not committed, and who isn't going to decisively act on what they learn. Okay. You have to identify the hell that they're in without you. This goes to the core of your message within content. You got to identify those problems. This goes to emotional intelligence, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like you take them from the hell, they become your client, then they're into heaven. So that's kind of the foundation. Now I work on their why, and this goes to their mindset. It's like, why are you doing what you do? Well, I want to serve this need in the marketplace. Like, there's something more. Why did you start your business? And usually a couple questions. In working through the process, it's, I want to be able to do what I want, when I want, with the people I want to do it with. So it's some form of that. And then, like me, it's helping people see their potential, then helping them realize it. Nothing gives me more professional joy than people seeing their potential and then realizing it when I get a text, an email, or a client post in my group. So as this document, I have them read through this a couple times a day out loud. And this is where you're familiar with the reticular activating system.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay. So if anyone out there, Tony Robbins has a whole thing that he does over and over and over again. He goes, look for everything that's brown, 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 brown. Okay, so tell me what's red in the room, right?
Yeah, or it's like when you never see a Cadillac Escalade until you go, man, I think I want to buy one. And then every corner you see a red Cadillac Escalade, if that's what you had in your heart. Yes,
exactly, because it becomes important to you. So the reticular activating system filters out the things that are important to you from those that aren't. Because if your mind kept all those thoughts, we talked about going to those dark places, your mind, you would explode, you would go insane. So you hack into your reticular activating system by reading out loud. And I'm not talking about, I feel great today. I feel great today. We're talking about practical.
It's like Think and Grow Rich.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Napoleon wrote about it in 1930s, and it's just as true today.
Yes. Now I have a little bit of an issue if it just said, if I feel great today, and like when I was so sick. So your brain can say, and we've made some advances in neural pathway, science and whatnot. You say, you're lying, you don't feel great. So this goes to, I'm serving them, and this is my why.
Yeah.
And my client, I had one client said, Chad, this is a bunch of fluff. I said, okay, do this for 21 days. I know you love and you're passionate about what you do. Come back to me and I'll eat my words.
Right.
21 days later, she said, Chaz, it was in a Q&A session with my other clients. She said, I'm going to eat my words because I was in a meeting with a client and they said something, the elephant in the room. And she said, before I could even fear and think about what I was going to say, the words were out of my mouth. And I called attention to the elephant in the room, addressed the awkward situation, and I onboarded a client. So that's kind of a long way to respond to your question. I help them at their core, their mindset, because if they don't have their mindset right, they're not going to execute on what they learn.
What I think I'm hearing you say also is, I see it in myself all the time. You want to help your former self. You look for your former self. Everything you just said, your mentor said to you, basically. You took somebody who had a bad mindset, didn't believe in yourself, and taught you can, right? You can be. And you're teaching these people, whatever it is, it's just the different words, but it's the same principle. And you're seeing your success over and over come through these people. And that's what I do anyway. Maybe you're not, but I think that as humans, we try to help our former selves in our heart. And it sounds like there's a lot of lucky people that get in your path right now.
Yeah, I've been really blessed to work with a lot of different people. And you talk about the past or former self. I think it's important because we all have different perspectives. And this goes into the core of emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence is not just understanding people, their emotions, and influencing them. It's understanding ourselves.
Yeah.
And I suppressed stuff my entire life. That's what I learned. And so I lacked self-awareness. That's at the core of emotional intelligence.
Yes.
When I started working through that stuff from my past, Jeremy, it was like, whoa, it's like all these revelations came to mind. And that's what I help people do. I'm not a psychologist, and
you don't have to
help them grow their business, but at the core of it is deal with their past so that they could become present, and the negative things in their past doesn't keep them from taking that action step out of their comfort zone so that they can step into their potential.
Well, I think it totally makes sense to me, but I always take it a step further. Something that you display and I display is taking those failures in your past or the things you had to overcome and not being ashamed of it anymore, spouting it, sharing that story. The more you share that story, the more you can understand, I wouldn't be here without that. I wouldn't be this person, right? This is a collection of that. And thank God for that now. But also it lets somebody else here who might have more recently gone through some stuff and who really, the further you get away from something, the easier it is to talk about, of course, but just saying it takes any kind of stigma away, or it gives you, wow, if you did it, I can do it. The name of my book is, Labor to Leadership. I was homeless, literally digging trenches, digging pits, and if I can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, anyone can do it,
Amen to that.
So, I've had to do it a couple times, which is, somebody asked me today, or not today, a couple days ago, what if you lose everything again? And I said, I would kind of dig it, because I only said I came back twice, and I'd love to say I came back 3 times.
Yeah.
It'd be stupid to lose it all again, especially because my wife is so smart.
We'll probably keep you in line. Sometimes I hear, Tom Bilyeu, Quest Nutrition, sold it for $1 million.
Yeah, good.
I think about, or Ed Milet. I mean, or you look at
Sean Evans is one of my favorite.
Grant Cardone. Yep. If you look, I don't know where those guys would be if it wasn't for their wives. Seriously. It's like Grant Cardone. Did you see Undercover Billionaire?
He's my neighbor. He doesn't live too far from me. I'm in South Florida. He doesn't live too far from me. He's in Aventura and I'm Coral Springs. And I've been to his building. I've met his CFO. I've never seen Undercover Billionaire, which is
his episode is amazing. Behind the scenes, check this out. And this goes to the mindset and changing it, and having someone who motivates you or really helps you look at who you are. So Grant Cardone, he was in Undercover Billionaire. Behind the scenes, you didn't see this. He was calling his wife. He goes, I can't do this anymore. Because they drop him in a city without any money, with like a car, half tank of gas, $100, and they don't have contacts. And he's like, I can't do this. And so what she did is she started reading off a list of all the names of the people who said that you'll never be successful, Grant. You'll never accomplish this. You'll never do the 10X. And so he was successful. And the true stories with Tom Bilyeu and whatnot, with your shame, with what you're talking about, I love the point you were making, because when you talk about your shame, it loses its power over your life, and you encourage and you challenge others who realize they're not the only ones.
Yeah, true. Because they're not. And as bad as I had it in my mind, I didn't even know it was that bad till later. But there are so many people with worse things, and people feel that, like you said, I don't want to paint myself as a victim. I don't even see myself as a victim. But when I sit back and listen to other people talk about what I've been through, it's really not anything you would wish on your worst enemy. But it's still, at the end of the day, there are people right now here in this country, and especially in other countries, that are going through unspeakable things, unspeakable things. So I got the chance where 7 words was enough to break me out of this.
What were the 7 words? I need to, what are they? 2 of
them, one of them was, I was 20 years old, digging ditches, basically living in a garage, a friend's garage, little efficiency. And my grandmother, so I was 20 years old. My grandmother was on the phone, of course, generational alcoholics, everyone in my family. So we just got back from a wedding, my sister's wedding, and she's bitching about my dad's newest wife. And she said how she was being such a bitch, And she said, I said, what was she doing specifically? Because I get aggravated with drunk people. Even at 20, I was like, spill it. But she said, well, she was walking around saying how Paulette and Jeremy aren't even Ronnie's kids. And that's how I found out I wasn't my dad's son.
Oh, wow.
And that changed my life, because as you grew up in that environment of, you call non-supportive, mine was, I was told I was dumb. I was told I was klutz. I was told, I used to fight every day. I was full of anger. Watched my mother on drugs all the time. My dad was drunk every single weekend. But later, chasing my real dad, my biological father, 2 years, no internet. Great long story about how I got this phone number, but nevertheless, I got a phone number. And when I dialed it, they picked it up and said, law offices of Dewey, Scroom, and Howe. I changed the names to protect the innocent, but that's the day I found out my father was an attorney, and now I'm smart. I've got lawyer DNA. And from that day on, I never went 8 months without getting a promotion or having major responsibility put on me to this day, right? 30 something years later.
Perspective is everything.
That's all I needed. I wasn't tethered to these people. I reeled it back. And I had lawyer DNA. Now, did it help me? He's a jerk off, that guy. He's a total loser. Died already. Never spoke to me for more than 5 minutes. Totally blew me off for a reason that I won't even share. It was just such dirtbaggery. But I didn't care about any of that. I had enough of that. I was used to that. What I wasn't used to, I chose to figure on the brains. He has a law degree. I can do anything in the world that I want. And I have. I've done everything I've ever set my mind to do. Every single time.
Awesome, man.
It's 2 times, 7 words. Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that earlier. I didn't ask you. I wasn't going to let you get away with it again.
Well, it's so big, when that's it. And then people say, well, my dad, I am related to these people, and my dad's not a lawyer. It doesn't matter if I was related to them or if my dad wasn't a lawyer. The second my brain accepted that it's my choice. You said it when we first started. It's my choice. It's my choice. I didn't know I could, but when you step away from it, anybody can at any time, because since then I've had a million times where I had excuses to be not where I am today. And I said, no, I'm accountable. So it's not that it wasn't the dad, it wasn't the DNA, and it wasn't the brains. It was the fact that the light switched on from reactive to proactive. It's as simple as that. That's all you need to do is go proactive, and that's it.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's a small little steps like we were talking about before, but it is such a block that we have. And when you get around, this is so true. A lot of people talk about, you are who you hang around with. There's a study, and Tom Bilyeu talks about this. You are based on the 5 ideas you spend the most time with, and the 5 people you spend the time with, or you are where you are based on the expectations of the peer group you align yourself with.
Oh, I
By
bet you.
aligning yourself with people up here, it will change your life.
I bet you $1 million, and I don't have. I said doll hairs. That you are an ultra pleaser. You live to please. When you get, because we come from the same place. So hanging around the people that I hang around with, it's not that there are 5 people, and it's not that it's that they're more successful than I am, or have done doing what I want to do, but that they have put their trust in me, and I don't want to let them down. So I'm an ultra trier to not disappoint these people, because I didn't have any expectation or hope or even know it was possible to have these types of people in my life. And now that I have them here, I'm not going to let them down. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, there definitely is a pleaser part of me. And yes, when I'm around other people, it's just, I have a coach who has a $3 million.
You have a coach. Is that what you're saying? Did I hear that right?
What?
You have a coach.
Yeah. You know what? Don't invest in a coach who doesn't invest in a coach. Seriously, it's ridiculous.
So I don't like to do self-aggrandizing stuff, but here's world-class athletes need continuous coaching to keep up with the best in the field. So do world-class business professionals, and including yourself. This guy, 3 thumbs or 2. You point your finger. You need coaching. 3 more pointing back at you.
Yep.
Always continuous learning.
Yes, that's right. It's just by, they just have a different perspective on failure. Like, it's not like one in particular. I was listening to a podcast. Rejection it's not rejection. It's about redirection. And it goes to the heart of what you're saying. Life happens for you, not to you.
Yeah.
And different thing. And so, and it goes back to the shift of the mindset. And when you live it with people or hang around people up here, you just naturally will grow and get to the next level. The same is true when you hang out with people like here. I'll never make it,
Right.
It will suck the life out of you.
Yeah. Or just being a little bit bad for one night takes 3 or 4 days to get over if you're drinking too much, at this age. Anyway, so it's not the same anymore. You change, you evolve, hopefully. You're evolving or you're devolving, and that's horrible. But it's all, I think it's 90% right here, right in the space between your ears. 90%. 90%. Because I can't read for dog do. So I have to scan and pick. That's why I said with extreme ownership, I got a bunch of nuggets because that's how I read. I'll read the same book 5 times and not read the same pages more than once because I just can't, things jump out at me. Things just jump out and I take it, then I apply it, and that's how I read books.
I listen to all my books.
I listen to them in the truck, but I love having it in my hand. I like highlighting them. I like taking what I just read and writing it down. I absorb it better that way. And I'm so ADD. You've heard of ADD, right? I've got 100 HD.
Right.
ADHD,
well, what's
100
really cool?
HD.
Have you ever heard of this is the book, $100 Million Offers?
No.
This is amazing book, Alex Hormozy. And it's chock full of like golden nuggets.
Love it.
And one of the things he said, he goes, if you really want to get a lot out of this book, listen to it while you read it. And it's like, whoa. Because I could be definitely ADD and ADHD and all the different things, all the different acronyms that keep us distracted, So, but if you listen and read at the same time, it's a whole different experience.
Yeah. And you can put those tapes on 1.25, 1.5 and read at a pretty good clip,
Yep.
Read at a pretty, I have not done it a lot. I have done it, but not a lot. I'm going to go back and try that. And I'm going to get that book because I am a huge reader now these days.
It's a great book. It will change your business.
Good. That's what I'm always looking to do because if I change my business, I change others for the better.
Right.
Well, my friend, I appreciate you. Any last parting words before we go? I want to let everyone know who are listening right now to the best way to find out about you is www.b2bclientsnow.com.
That will take people into, I have mini masterclass you can log into that. Send me an email at chazhorn@chazhorn.com. Tell me something you got out of this podcast. Reach out to me. And I'll offer everyone a sales and marketing analysis. It's 20 minutes. It's painless. You'll walk away from that I'll identify the problems in your marketing strategy, your sales process, and give you a path forward. We talked a lot about mindset here and we went here. And so just at the end, just to share with everyone, I just want to leave you with this story I read about a Girl Scout, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I was reading this story about this Girl Scout. Now stick with me, everybody, okay? Because this goes to the heart and the matter of where businesses are struggling. She wasn't like an ordinary Girl Scout who went door to door, okay? She wasn't like an ordinary Girl Scout who went in front of like busy intersection or in front of a Walmart. She understood the principles, and this is what I help businesses with: leverage, positioning. When you have that, it leads to conversions. So remember I was talking about the who, what, where, and why?
Yes.
So she understood that about her customers. And so she knew where she'd have maximum leverage and where she would position herself with leverage. And so that would lead to conversions. So she sold out of Girl Scout cookies, 117 boxes in a little bit over an hour. She positioned herself in front of a cannabis dispensary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So people say, oh, Chad, I'm not selling Girl Scout cookies. I don't have the Girl Scout brand. None of us do. Few of us do. But that's at the heart of the matter.
Right.
When you understand who you serve, their problems, and you position yourself with leverage, it will lead to conversions. Now, there's a lot that goes into that so that you do have leverage and you do have positioning, and so that it will lead to conversions. People go to my LinkedIn profile to learn more about that because I don't want to go deep into LinkedIn because I know you talk about it a lot and whatnot. But send me an email, go to b2bclientsnow.com, and you can go into our masterclass. I'd be happy to talk with you. But that's at the heart of everything within business. Learn your target audience, speak to them emotionally. And when you do that, you speak to their inner child. We help with this. And when you have positioning with leverage, it will lead to conversions. Have you ever been on a seesaw or a teeter-totter?
Sure.
Okay. So the fulcrum point is usually in the middle, right? And you can keep going back and forth. So imagine that fulcrum point is your positioning. Imagine your prospect is on one side of that and you're on the other side. And the idea is to get your prospect up where you have leverage in your positioning. So where do you position the fulcrum point? Closer to you or closer to them?
Well, if you want them to go up, you put the fulcrum closer to you.
Well, to them, because
okay. Oh yeah, because you have a longer board.
Right. So the positioning, when you know and speak to your prospects, not your clients, because you solve these problems. When you speak to your prospects' needs, wants, emotional needs, then that will move that positioning to where they are, and they're like, oh, it will make you approachable. Marketing at the heart of it. People make it so complicated. It's all about building confidence in you, your product, and making you approachable so they see you as an authority. Yes. So position yourself based on where your prospects are. Most people position themselves where they are based on their understanding. Right. It's called emotional intelligence. Yes. Understand your prospects. It will change. It will attract people to you, and it will help you increase your business in a predictable way.
I love it. I think we've said all we could say. We have people that could listen to this thing 2 or 3 times, I think, and really hear different things, awesome. Different. Yeah, it really, and they're going to. We have a lot of repeat listeners because the people we have on this show are here because they genuinely want to help people. So we appreciate you coming on and doing so today.
Great to be here, Jeremy. Thank you so much.
All right, don't go away. I'll be right back with you. I just want to let everyone here know that how much I appreciate you guys. We've just recently got this channel monetized, so you're going to see some ads. I appreciate you sticking with it and getting you through it, because this means that it's actually able to reach more people who we can help. So like, subscribe, all that jazz that you hate to say, but it really does make a difference for you to support the channel. You don't know how much it means to me. Just continue to do the right thing by you, by your family, and GoPro.